Want to have better communication with your dog? This is the video for you. Hi, I'm Kristen, and I'm the head trainer at Salty Pack. First things first, and this one might blow your mind. Dogs are not pre-wired to understand any verbal or body language cues. So when I have clients telling me, "But Kristen, when I give a cue, my dog just doesn't listen," are they not listening, or do they not know what you mean? We have to show and communicate to the dog what we would like them to do through our verbal and body language cues. To start off, we want to show the dog what we do want them to do through reinforcement, especially while they're young and still learning. A lot of pet owners try and wean off the amount of help that they use too quickly with their dogs. They start to focus on telling the dog what they cannot do, rather than showing and reinforcing what they do want the dog to do. A reinforcer is something that will strengthen a behavior or make it more likely to happen in the future. This can be different for every dog, but generally we use food or treats. Other reinforcers can be toys, chasing a ball or a frisbee, getting praise, or maybe investigating the environment or having a sniff. It all depends on what makes your dog feel good and want to repeat that behavior again. Okay, you're in. Let's show the dog what we want. To start off, we need to install a cue for the dog that means you're doing the right thing, keep doing that, and reinforcers are going to come your way. You might have heard of clicker training before, which is when we use a device that when you press on a button, it makes a click noise. The clicker is great because it's very precise with its timing and sounds the same every single time. But for pet owners, it can just be one more thing to think about. When to press on the clicker, you've got your lead and your treats, you're trying to make sure that you're saying the right commands, it can just get a little bit too much. I like to use a verbal yes cue because it's simple, easy to carry around, and it generally is pretty easy for a dog to pick up on. You can say any word or sound that you'd like, but try and avoid anything that you say or do commonly so as we don't confuse our dogs. For example, if you use good as your reinforcer word, you might need to avoid saying good dog, good girl, good boy, if we're not always going to be following up with that reinforcer. These same principles can also be used for dogs who are deaf or have impaired hearing through hand signals. These can be things like the thumbs up, the perfect sign, or the shaka, or anything else that you want to do. To install our cue, try and find a very high food motivator for your dog. In the early stages, try and avoid things like their kibble or normal dinner, and try and find something really high value like chicken, cheese, sausage, or something that the dog doesn't get regularly. I love treats like Ziwi Peak or Prime 100. Now that we've got our food motivator, let's reward our dog. While installing your cue for the first few sessions, try and find a quiet place in the house with low-level distraction. Your goal for these next few sessions are just to have your dog understand that the cue means the food reinforcer is coming. Make sure that when you give your cue, your food comes pretty quickly after, maybe only about 1 second later if you can. The closer that you can get the cue to mean that food is coming, the faster your dog will understand this. So, yes, food. Yes, food. Yes, food. Also important to remember that the food cannot come before your cue or during. Oftentimes, if the dog is already eating, they're not processing if we say that cue during that time. So, just to re-emphasize, cue, then food. In these first few stages as well, try and avoid any specific behaviors, like a sit. We want to try and capture when the dog is doing nothing. I know, hard to do with a puppy or young dog, right? Over time, we want to see a bit of a body language change in our dog. What I mean by that is when we give our cue, hopefully our dogs might prick their ears, start to wag their tail, or ideally, whip their head around and see where that treat is coming from. When you're at that stage, you can now reward behaviors. In this video, with 17-week-old cavoodle Strida, he's never heard the word yes before, followed up with food. I'm trying to capture moments that he's not doing anything in particular by giving my cue yes and following up immediately with the food. Yes. 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 Thanks for watching this video on how to install a marker word for your dog to get better communication. If you have any questions or would like to reach out to us to get involved in some of our services, you can email us at woof, that's WOOF, at saltypack.com.au. You can call or text us at 0455 055 304, or you can find us on Instagram or Facebook at Salty Pack Dogs. Thanks everybody, and now go train your dog.